This is the first episode in my Summer Headspace series. So these are going to be short episodes throughout the summer where I'm going to revisit episodes from the previous school year and link to them in the show notes so that you can listen to them maybe again or even for the first time. Now that you have some space in your head over the summer, you can digest it a little bit more, think about it in a different way, whatever that means for you when you have a little extra time maybe to do that over the summer. So in this first Summer Headspace episode, I'm going to be talking about episodes 8 and 12, which were about communication modes and proficiency levels. So let's jump in. Are you a language teacher looking for some reassurance that what you're doing in the classroom is on the right track? Or maybe you're looking for some ways to teach even more effectively. If you're one or the other or somewhere in between, you've landed in the right place. This is the World Language Classroom Podcast with your host, me, Joshua Cabral. You're about to get tips, tools, and resources so that your students continue to rise in proficiency and communicate with confidence. Let's jump in. Vamos, allons-y. Hello, my friends. Bonjour, mes amis. Hola, mis amigos. Welcome to the World Language Classroom Podcast. I am Joshua Cabral, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your week to listen to this podcast episode. And particularly if you're on summer vacation right now and you're listening to this Summer Headspace episode, that is really showing true dedication as an educator. So thank you incredibly much for doing that. Make sure that you take a second to look down at the app that you're listening to this episode on right now, and be sure that you have liked or subscribed, whatever it's asking you to do, so that you continue to get these episodes downloaded right to your device, whatever you're listening to, every Monday as they come out. While you're there, you can like and maybe even leave a comment on whatever app you're listening to. That's always helpful so that other teachers can hear about it. So on this real quick Summer Headspace episode, I'm going to revisit episode 8 about communication modes and episode 12 about proficiency levels. I think they work really well together. And the links from both of those episodes are in the show notes. So you can just click on them, go back and listen to that at your leisure over the next week or so, or maybe right after this podcast episode. So when we looked at communication modes in episode 8, we were really looking at the foundation of our teaching and looking at presentational writing and speaking, interpersonal speaking, and interpretive listening and reading, and how fundamentally understanding these modes of communication makes sure that we are keeping communication the focus in our classrooms. So that means it's what students are doing with the language and not just explaining or showing what they know about the language and how the structures work and what the vocabulary is. So give a listen back to the communication modes episode so that you can really get that fundamental understanding of what communication looks like in the classroom. And then if you go back to episode 12, that's where we're going to look at the actual proficiency levels and how those proficiency levels are designed and what language looks like at the novice, intermediate, and advanced levels, so that when you are creating lessons and activities, or even doing an entire unit and you're doing your backwards planning and what is your focus going to be in that ultimate summative assessment, and you want to make sure that you are at the proficiency level of students and you're constantly giving them opportunities to push to higher proficiency levels. So in the show notes, you'll see the links to both episodes 8 on communication modes and episode 12 on proficiency levels so that you can listen to them at your leisure as you're going through. I think they really work well together. That's why I wanted to group them that way. There are also links to get in touch with me in the show notes if you'd like to work together either in person in your school or remotely during the upcoming school year. I will talk to you real soon. Bye for now. You've been listening to the World Language Classroom Podcast. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss a single episode. Let's continue the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at WL Classroom. You can also see over 250 blog posts about language teaching at, you guessed it, WLClassroom.com.